You've repeated this routine countless times. Drive up, insert the nozzle, fuel up, head out. Seems mundane, appears perfectly harmless. It isn't. Some of the most severe automotive damage occurring across America today doesn't stem from rough roads or incompetent technicians. It originates from a brief 10-second moment at the fuel station. One practice on this countdown could ignite flames at the dispenser faster than you can react. We're revealing all 10 destructive behaviors. The most expensive mistake comes last. Stay tuned. Habit 10. Yanking off the fuel cap rapidly. You spin that cap loose with one swift twist. Under 3 seconds, performed it endlessly, seems insignificant. Here's the reality of what occurs within your fuel network during those crucial moments. While your motor operates, thermal energy creates tension within the gas reservoir. Once you arrive at the station, that container holds compressed fumes desperate to escape. Jerk that cap away quickly and the entire volume discharges simultaneously. Your tank's pressure monitoring device surges. The vehicle interprets this as a malfunction, triggering an emissions alert unrelated to genuine leakage. Certain owners invest $250 to $450 pursuing repairs that lead directly to this single 3-second error. The solution is straightforward. Rotate the cap gradually upon hearing a gentle whoosh. Pause. Allow 2 complete seconds for natural decompression, then finish removal. That sound represents your reservoir safely equalizing rather than overwhelming your monitoring equipment with an abrupt pressure surge. Experienced technicians and fuel specialists execute this identical procedure consistently. Habit 9. Re-entering your vehicle during active pumping. This behavior has triggered actual blazes at actual stations. Picture this sequence. You engage the pump handle, retreat inside to escape cold weather or browse your device. Then emerge and grasp the nozzle. During that brief period, your physique accumulated electrical charge. Rubbing against vehicle upholstery can create thousands of voltage units. Under typical circumstances, that merely produces an irritating shock at metal contact. Near a fuel dispenser, it transforms into something entirely different. The filling opening stays enveloped by gasoline fumes. These vapors weigh more than atmosphere and collect precisely where your fingers approach. Your electrically charged palm contacts the metallic handle and you transform into the ignition source. Blaze investigators have recorded numerous verified station fires traced exclusively to electrical discharge at dispensers. Identical sequence repeatedly. Operator enters vehicle, operator exits vehicle, combustion begins at the fuel opening. The remedy requires one additional action. Prior to contacting the handle after vehicle re-entry, contact any exposed metal first, door framework, roof border, anywhere distant from the filling area. That single contact safely drains electrical buildup from your person. Habit 8. Refueling immediately following truck deliveries. Most motorists believe fresh shipments equal pure gasoline. You spot the delivery vehicle and assume you've discovered premium opportunity. Initial fuel from brand new supplies, pristine and untainted. That assumption proves completely incorrect. Here's the actual underground process during truck fuel transfers. Beneath every storage vessel accumulates decades of collected particles, corrosion fragments, contaminants, and separated moisture that has descended over years. During regular operation, this material remains stationary beneath your pump's intake, invisible to you, never entering your engine. Then the delivery truck appears. Massive volumes cascade downward at tremendous velocity, agitating everything settled on the bottom into the available supply. That particle suspension persists for multiple hours. Refuel during this period and you're drawing the most contaminated fuel that reservoir will ever contain directly into your automobile. These fragments travel straight toward your filtration system, injection components, and pressurized fuel delivery. Modern direct injection systems suffer permanent deterioration from microscopic pollution. Basic principle: upon seeing delivery trucks at the facility, depart. Return several hours afterward, allowing complete settling. Habit 7. Operating your reservoir in the pump starvation zone. Your display indicates 20 miles remaining. You decide to handle it tomorrow. You've pushed these limits previously. The vehicle always survives. Here's what this practice actually accomplishes inside your tank during each occurrence. Contemporary fuel pumps don't mount externally. They're positioned internally, immersed in gasoline. This design is intentional. Fuel provides pump cooling, circulating around the motor and continuously removing thermal energy. When levels drop excessively, the pump operates in atmosphere rather than liquid. We label this the starvation zone. Every moment in that zone causes overheating, winding deterioration, and accelerated bearing wear. A pump engineered for 100,000 miles begins failing at 60,000, sometimes 40,000 or fewer. There's another problem lurking at your nearly empty tank's bottom: oxidation, particles, and contaminants that spend years descending to the floor. When levels diminish, your pump draws from that exact layer, channeling debris directly through your fuel network. Consistently operating below quarter tank significantly accelerates pump deterioration. Replacement ranges $600 to $1,400. The remedy costs nothing: refuel at quarter tank every occasion. Habit 6. Operating your mobile device at the dispenser. Set the device aside, not due to outdated myths regarding cellular signals triggering explosions. The genuine concern involves electrical charge, and your device represents only part of it. Each movement at a fuel pump during dry conditions causes your body to accumulate electrical potential. Reaching into pockets, weight shifting, contact with synthetic materials. Cold, arid atmosphere intensifies it. Usually, nothing occurs. But here's what operators completely overlook: your emission system actively vents fumes while the tank fills. That venting occurs precisely at the filler opening, exactly where you're positioned and moving with an electrically charged body. Electrical discharge near that active vent can disrupt fuel vapor pressure measurements during tank filling. Some operators pursue emissions fault codes for months consequently, replacing purge valves, swapping sensors, conducting complete diagnostics, never linking it to weekly pump activities. Store the device in your vehicle during every refueling session. If required, step completely away from the dispenser first. Contact exposed metal on your automobile before handling the nozzle after any movement. 4 minutes represents fill-up duration. The device can wait consistently. Habit 5. Adding extra fuel after automatic shutoff. The dispenser stops, you squeeze once more to reach the next dollar amount, perhaps twice. What's the damage? We term this the canister destroyer. Once it occurs, there's no recovery. Every contemporary vehicle sold in America features an emissions capture network. At its core sits a carbon filter packed with activated material, engineered specifically to trap fuel fumes and retain them until the motor burns them safely. That filter handles vapor exclusively, never liquid. When the dispenser stops, the reservoir has achieved its proper capacity. Above the fuel exists expansion room the designers included deliberately. Continue squeezing and liquid gasoline gets pushed into that space, backs up through the filler tube, advances into the ventilation lines, and contacts the carbon filter. Activated carbon that absorbs liquid fuel becomes useless permanently. It cannot regenerate, stops filtering fumes, and begins functioning like a saturated sponge within your fuel network. Irregular idling, fuel odors after refueling, warning lights appear. Repair costs range $400 to $1,200 just to restore what that filter provided at no charge. Halt at the initial click every single occasion. That click represents an engineered signal, not a recommendation. Habit 4. Disregarding the fuel grade recommendations. 3 options available. You select the economical choice. 87 octane. Same routine always. Vehicle operates adequately. You've maintained this practice for years. Here's what adequate actually represents inside a high-compression motor operating on insufficient octane. Octane rating measures one characteristic: fuel's ability to resist premature ignition before the spark plug activates. High-compression motors, forced induction engines, anything designed around specific octane requirements. When you supply them with substandard fuel, combustion sequence deteriorates. The mixture ignites prematurely while the piston continues ascending, creating pressure waves that oppose piston movement. Engineers label this phenomenon detonation. Your knock detection system identifies it. The engine control unit retards ignition timing for compensation. No warning indicators, no audible pinging, merely a vehicle that feels moderately sluggish under heavy acceleration. That's the deception. It seems acceptable because the computer works excessively to maintain acceptable performance. However, each timing adjustment causes combustion pressure to peak incorrectly. Excessive heat exits through exhaust rather than driving the piston. That thermal energy accumulates on turbocharger components, exhaust valves, and emission control devices across thousands of miles. Habit 3. Positioning at incorrect angles. This issue involves neither fire, electrical discharge, nor contaminated fuel, purely physics. And it's been quietly stealing your money at every refueling without any indication. Your filler tube features airflow considerations in its design. As fuel enters the reservoir, atmosphere and fumes require an exit route. That pathway travels through ventilation tubes into the carbon filter. On level surfaces, the mechanism functions precisely as intended. Fuel flows inward, air flows outward, pump ceases at the appropriate capacity. Complete tank. Position on an incline or at those elevated pump platforms with curbing on one side and the geometry changes. The filler tube angles, atmosphere becomes trapped within the reservoir with no escape route. The vapor pathway closes, the nozzle experiences back pressure and clicks off prematurely. You assume the tank reached capacity, it hasn't. You paid for maximum fuel but didn't receive it. On slanted surfaces, you can forfeit 1/4 to 1/2 gallon per session without awareness. Repeat that 50 times annually and you're surrendering genuine money at every pump visit unnecessarily. The correction is direct. Ensure the fuel cap side of your automobile sits level or slightly below the opposite side. Habit 2. Maintaining engine operation while dispensing fuel. Frigid morning, you keep the motor idling so heating continues. You grasp the nozzle and begin pumping. Everyone does this. You've probably never reconsidered it. Here's what occurs within your automobile throughout the entire pumping duration. Ignition systems fire thousands of times per minute. The charging system generates current. Cooling fans activate without notice. Electrical relays throughout the network open and close, each producing minute electrical sparks. Meanwhile, gasoline fumes pour from the exposed filler opening, vapor denser than atmosphere that descends and spreads along the ground toward an operating exhaust system already heated sufficiently to matter. Under standard conditions, concentration remains minimal, but fire prevention regulations in America address the singular moment when conditions align poorly. A minor spill, wind direction change, a relay that sparks at precisely the wrong instant. Additionally, there's a completely separate issue. With the motor operating, your emissions purge valve actively draws vapor from the carbon canister into the intake. The engine control unit calibrates for driving situations, not an actively filling reservoir. Sudden fuel level variations during operation can record fault codes, sending you pursuing phantom diagnostics for weeks. Habit 1. Insufficient gas cap tightening. You complete pumping, cap goes on, 1 or 2 rotations, fuel door closed, finished. Except it's not finished. That cap isn't sealed and your automobile already recognizes it. Contemporary vehicles execute self-diagnostics on the emission system every driving cycle. The engine control unit utilizes the purge valve, vent valve, and tank pressure sensor to apply slight vacuum and monitor exactly how effectively it maintains pressure. When the gas cap isn't properly secured, cross-threaded, barely snug, or clicked once only, the system develops leaks. The control unit detects pressure loss and activates warning lights. Most drivers never correlate that light with the gas cap, so they visit repair facilities where purge valves get replaced, vent solenoids swapped, carbon canisters changed, hundreds in components and labor before anyone finally verifies whether the cap's seated correctly. The damage doesn't end with warning indicators. An unsealed cap permits fuel vapor to escape continuously while humid atmosphere and road particles cycle inward with temperature changes. Moisture condenses on metal surfaces inside the filler tube, corrosion develops, fragments separate, and those particles eventually migrate toward your fuel pump. The solution requires 3 seconds. After seating the cap, rotate slowly until hearing 3 distinct clicks. Not 1, not 2, but 3. That sound confirms the seal engaged properly. 10 behaviors, most requiring under 10 seconds each. Every single one gradually damages pumps, clogs filters, destroys canisters, and generates repair bills most drivers never trace back to the fuel station. Every solution on this countdown costs nothing. It's simply understanding proper technique and developing correct habits. If your check engine light already illuminates or fuel efficiency has declined without explanation, your emission system may already be compromised. Quality fuel system cleaners added before your next fill-up can eliminate early-stage deposits before they require complete component replacement. Hit subscribe if this information helped you. Drop a comment telling us which habit you've been making without realizing the consequences. Thanks for watching Car Vitalize. We'll see you in the next episode.